program, and it will be available on the Fiatech website at www.fiatech.org. Lastly, before I introduce our speaker, I want to remind you that Fiatech is a member-based organization that brings together companies to accelerate the deployment of technology in capital projects. We have over 70 member companies and are always looking for new ones and growing our consortium. If you are interested in joining and would like more information or have topic ideas for future webinars, please drop me an email note at my email address, which is Wible, W-I-B-L-E, @fiatech.org. Now I'd like to welcome and introduce our presenter, Pelin Atasoy, who is architect, founder, and CEO of Computecture and Madcad, a company she organized in 1995. Pelin has been a member of Fiatech for the past 3 years and is a member of several of our Fiatech regulatory streamlining projects. Pelin?
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for your time and attending our webinar. I would like to let Bob again talk about the Fiatech initiatives of regulatory streamlining, and then I will pick up from that.
Right. Fiatech, as a part of our overall projects, has been looking at the issue of what's the interface between all of the streamlining issues we're doing in terms of innovative technology and application to the life cycle of buildings and our nation's regulatory system. And we've identified that there are a number of barriers of trying to move new technologies from the use of the building designer, owner, and operator and contractors for acceptance by jurisdictions. So these are the projects that you're seeing on the screen now that we have been working on over the last 4 years. Our guideline for replicable buildings with the International Code Council, our E-Plan Review project, which is encouraging more jurisdictions to adopt electronic plan review. There are now approximately 300 jurisdictions nationwide that do that. And then we've identified as another barrier that jurisdictions are not making use of or recognizing digital seals and signatures. And that is a third initiative for Fiatech. Our AutoCodes project we've covered in other webinars in the past, which is an automated plan checking tool under development. We're going to talk today about a fourth project, the U.S. Local Codes in the Cloud, and the problem it addresses. Pelin?
Thank you, Bob. I'd like to start with identifying the problem. 1 million organizations in the building industry must comply with the codes and standards all throughout the life cycle of the buildings. And U.S., under 50 states, we have about 40,000 jurisdictions. They all enforce different sets of codes and standards, and there is no simple way to access these regulations. And the responsibility is on almost all of them, all of us. The state and local jurisdictions, they administer the codes and standards. Building owners, they must comply with the codes. While the state and local jurisdictions may work in their jurisdictions only, but all the other parties actually may work in many different locations. So that's why it is very important to pull this data together. Designers, engineers, specifiers, we all need to comply with the codes. Builders, contractors, during construction need to comply with the codes. Building product material manufacturers need to produce products meeting with the codes, and at the end, legal disputes part taken care of with the lawyers. They need to look at the codes and standards. So almost all of the people involved in the construction industry definitely need to comply with the codes, and they involve with the this data, the data. As an example, I just found one statistics. Engineers spend 55.8% of their time engaging with various types of research. 14.2% actively seeking information from other people or from the documents or databases. So I believe it is very similar for the architects, for the specifiers. So we are constantly looking for information in order to do our decisions, because construction industry really involves with rich data, and there's no end to the incredible data behind these buildings. Our objective is to at least start and attempt to solve this jurisdiction data, putting together the jurisdiction data, create an up-to-date cloud-based e-library with the local building codes and standards that incorporates 5,000 jurisdictions amendments, and we will try to do this next 18 to 24 months. And we are focusing these 5,000 jurisdictions because 90% of the construction really in these jurisdictions. So I believe this is a doable task, and we are very excited to work on it. Our goal is support decision, because when you get the right data in your hands, you give a better decision. Increase the productivity. Instead of spending our time searching where are all this data, we just focus on the decisions more and free up time and budget. Let's analyze the U.S. local codes. It is a,
Speak a little closer.
because it is a very unique codes and standards in the U.S. we are dealing with. And then you look at the overall picture, there are custom codes a jurisdiction may elect to develop, which is not too many, only a few of them left out there luckily. Or jurisdictions adopt a model code unamended. They are not too many either. Majority of the jurisdictions actually in the third option, which is model codes and the amendments. So they adopt a model code that contains amendments that jurisdiction develops. So let's look at a model code, how the model code works. Model code will have chapters. Under those chapters there are sections, and under sections there are subsections. So it's a very structured, logically structural patterns included in the model code. And all these chapter sections, subsections, they are all numbered systems. So when the states adopt any model code, they start to amend them. So all these red dots or crosses you see represent the revisions in the model code. So they may add actually new chapters, they can delete certain sections, they can revise subsections, so that model code become very different than how it was at the beginning. And then local codes, local jurisdictions, in some areas they can directly adapt a model code if they are administrating the codes themselves, and then they apply their provisions similar to state. And in some states, state first adapts the code, does their revisions, and then the local jurisdictions add their revisions on top of it. So then the model code is the copyrighted material, and all these red and green ones are not copyrighted, they are public domain and they are published separately. So we really need to manually coordinate the model code and the amendments that are in different publications. So this all happens as a manual process. And the jurisdictions usually adapt multiple books and think about the same complexity applies to each book. And anybody who needs to comply with the codes need to go through this complex process. Another layer is states and jurisdictions, they all act differently in different locations. For example, in one state, for, let's say New York, they adopt certain codes and they amend, and since this is a very large state, it is feasible for them to print the integrated code. But in many different states, that doesn't happen. So amendments and model code stay separate. In some states, it's a statewide code. It is mandatory. Everybody has to use the same code. In different states, state doesn't even give decisions for adoption. Local jurisdictions has the administration authority. So from one location to other location, there is a huge difference. And if you have multiple projects in different jurisdictions, it is very hard to keep up with that. And also code cycles. Every 3 years, model codes change. When they change, the amendments change. So it's a constantly changing database, and we are just looking at how we are going to tackle with that. Actually, technology is there. If you think about flight schedules, thousands of them updated every day, and next day again it is updated. So there is a technology out there. We just need to find a way how define our problem and how we can solve this problem. Actually, we have an infrastructure to take care of the model codes as a computator. So with Fiatech, we talk about this, and then we showed our system as an infrastructure, and we thought we can solve this local jurisdiction data at the same time with this infrastructure. So let me just go through an overview of what we have and how this can help to solve local jurisdiction data as well. We established back in '95, and since then we are taking the publications from the standard development organizations. This is static data, and then we are converting this data to a interactive, connected, and searchable format. And we signed agreements with the organizations you see on the screen, their logos: International Code Council, ASHRAE, NFPA, ASTM. So actually model codes are produced with these code bodies. And we include now more than 50,000 titles from these organizations, which includes the historical codes as well as the new codes. And our system has been used by the large architectural companies, construction companies, universities, government agencies, and different industries like healthcare, energy, manufacturers are using, lawyers are using. So we proved the system, it is working for them, for the model codes. Our technology lets us transform content very quickly now. We can do 1,000 books conversion in a week. So this is a pretty powerful capabilities, I believe. So since we are going to deal with a huge amount of data to deal with the local codes, it will allow us to tackle with that capability. The most important thing, obviously, we have to keep up to date the content. And this is not possible with a handful of people's effort. We really need to take charge as a whole industry and help that happens. Because as soon as a model code adapted, revisions are published, and erratas, addenda, we constantly will have revised documents. So how we are going to deal with that? So that is the key of the challenge here. Again, we are looking to the model codes. Model codes has their own revision, and we were able to tackle with that by having a cloud-based system and updating the content on the fly, so to speak. So I will show the how we are doing this on the current system a little later. And our system is cloud-based. So no installation or no download involved with the system. I believe it is one of the key factors also to solve the problems of the industry, because we can be anywhere when we need the codes. We can be in a meeting, we can be in the construction site. So being all this data in a cloud-based system is very important. And when we have the system, again, as a cloud-based and XML and HTML-based system, we can provide a lot of smart features, and which we need, again, to be able to find what we are looking in this huge data. So it is another key factor that we are offering our infrastructure to solve this problem. And the system is obviously completely green and lean, no paper involved with it, and not even an e-copy is involved on the hard drives, which is a huge cost as well. People overlook at it. So it is completely invisible search system. Another feature we are offering is a admin system behind all this. We are able to collect a lot of data from the usage and learn from the usage to go back and enhance the system. We know how people do search, how they jump from which book to which book, and where they do most of the research, what else they need to solve their problems. So all this data will help us down the road to enhance the system and collect their questions also. So it is very important to have this admin system behind the infrastructure as well. After we evaluate all these features, we said, okay, US local codes can build up on this infrastructure, and we can expand the system to the local levels and first specify the 5,000 jurisdictions. Basically, in every jurisdiction, we are going to have a virtual code library and identify their adapted model codes and allow them upload their local codes, their local amendments for this, either for this model codes, or if they have their own custom codes for specific topics, they can upload their system here as well. So then, after the third step is completed, we will have a puzzle game will come together. We will have model codes and local codes together, so people can search on all of them as a complete data. The supporting Fiatech members on this project so far are Target, Kaiser Permanente, Wible Software, Solibri, CCC, CH2MPL, and more. We are getting more interest, and we are hoping to grow this member pool. We identified 4 task groups, and then identified what we need from all these people. For the first task group is create a general awareness in the industry. Construction industry needs this. There can be a solution, and it is just a general awareness. The second task is outreaching jurisdictions and convincing them to upload their data to the system or to post their data in an agreeable standard naming convention URLs in their own website, and have logical naming conventions that we can suggest for their file names. Because when you look at any jurisdiction, it is very hard to find where they post their information. And there is no common denominator between any of the file names. Not even in one jurisdiction's files, when you look at the file code name is different, building code name is different, and when you look at different jurisdictions, everything is different. So we definitely need a standard way of naming the file, so we can really collect this data together in a logical way. The third task is outreaching to AEC, obviously. Owners and manufacturers identify their needs, which jurisdictions need most help, and we just need to analyze and focus accordingly. The fourth task is outreaching standard development organizations and include more data. Currently not in the platform. We are still missing some standard development organizations publications, so how to bring them in as well. So this is the fourth task. I would like to go to live site, show you the system, so we can talk about the tasks afterwards in detail. Do we have so far questions, Bob?
Yeah, the only one question that's come in so far is if the user doesn't have any internet access, are they out of luck?
If they don't have internet access, this system won't work. But we are hoping everybody will have internet access in this days, and but it is an internet depending system. So let me just show you the current system and how we are dealing with the model codes. And we so far have actually 2,400 jurisdictions data. They may not be complete yet, but at least you will see how things work. So when this is a subscription system for the model codes. Obviously, they are all copyrighted material, so it's a secure system. You need to have an account in order to get to the system. So when you enter the system, you will see all of the codes and standards available in this account at the middle of the page. And then we have a lot of filters on the left-hand side to be able to find the data faster. You can filter down the editions or select any publisher. For example, right now I'm just selecting a publisher. It will filter down on the ICC publications. And if I just click here and say 2009, so it will be posting up there 2009 through 2012 when they were published. So you can do that kind of filtering. And on the left-hand side now we add the a group, and you see the abbreviation of every state. For example, I click here to Maryland, and when I click to Maryland, it will virtually label every amendment, every custom code or adapted codes in Maryland, and push that code on top of my page and star them. So if I do any search, let's say I'm typing here door and then hit search, it will find the results first in the start publication, so I can find my way easier. But there are a lot of little details, obviously, when you start to look at all these codes and standards in the different states. Again, I'm clicking to Maryland. Maryland has custom codes generated by the Maryland, and also they have adapted codes. But Maryland also allows jurisdictions amend their codes. So if I go to Anne Arundel County, then my screen shows me Anne Arundel County amendments. So if I jump to Baltimore City, I will see the Baltimore City amendments. So just to be able to find this listing online will take hours. But with this way, we just click and find information very easily. And it is not only listing, but also data is there. So I can able to start to search on them very quickly. And I believe it's a pretty powerful solution for this problem. But it doesn't mean that everything is so simple. Collecting this data for all these jurisdictions takes some time because nothing is out there really in standard way. So we completed Maryland so far, just as an example. But even having that is not enough because state-owned buildings have different sets of codes. Residential buildings have different sets of codes. From the adapted codes we are listing here, we still need to branch off to really identify more specifics. So we are actually working on the admin system to collect this data more differently, more detailed, I should say. For example, they will be able to identify while they are uploading their codes, if it is they can identify if it's a custom local code, if it's an amendment to a model code, if it's an amendment to a statewide code, is it an executive order, zoning code, checklist form, and this list may extend later on more we find out and more we research. And also, the ownership of the building determines which codes are applicable for that type of buildings. State building codes, different codes actually apply. The local government codes, I mean the buildings codes are different. And again, there are industrial buildings, mobile homes, they all have different codes. Again, selected from the adapted codes, but we are going to identify based on what is the ownership of the building. And also, building type changes the system. If it is, again, educational institute, K-12, industrial building, modular home, they all have different differences. So first, our goal is to complete the identifying the model codes and the amendments, and then we will branch off to the ownership and the building type details. Just as an example, I would like to show you what I was talking about, how the sections and the chapters change. Let's go to like ICC 2009 building codes. So when we click to any book in our system, it gives you the table of content of the book, and then from here I can go to sections, I can go to any subsection, and when I click to it, it will open a page where all of the references are hyperlinks as well. And I'm going back to the table of content. If I do the search about door word, it will show me in the table of contents where are the results. And again, if I go to sections and the subsections, it will help me to find the location of the information very quickly. So this is a model code, and I was just doing this search on a model code. And I have here in different windows, by the way, you can open different windows to compare different books, because this is a browser. I can open as many as browser and look at many different books at the same time. But right now, I just want to show you, if I go to a model code and a stairway, and then same thing, I'm looking in the New York code. You see on the left-hand side, stairway, riser, heights, they have exceptions, 7 exceptions. and I'm looking in the New York code, this is based on the 2009 IBC as well, and there are 5 exceptions here. So code changes like that. So if it is integrated like New York, it is easier to deal with. But if this was in a different state, model code stays like that, and on the right-hand side, you will see only the amendments. And it is very hard to coordinate this on your mind and then understand which one you are going to apply where. But when we have the search, even they are separate documents, I will be able to search on both of them at the same time, or on the multiple books at the same time. So I hope this is showing you how the system details work in fact. So I'm going back to the tasks again. For the general awareness, we are looking from the members to help and recognize while they are doing any webinar, when they are sending press releases, or during training sessions, just at least talk about this. And we will be doing ourselves, but that's not enough. We definitely need a grassroots effort on this. And for the task 2, outreach in jurisdictions, start discussions for the jurisdictions website standards. Why don't we have any standard way of naming the files? At least start this awareness, so when we go there and try to solve the problems, they understand what we are talking about. And then we need to have the awareness of this tool exists. They can start today, and I will show you how they can do today. They can really get to the site. Let's go to that key library and clear all of our filters we have done so far. Let's say again I'm in Maryland or North Dakota, and I looked at the model codes here and I say, nope, there is one more amendment which is not included here. I can click to this link, and then it will allow me to put my name here, and this, it automatically actually gives me the North Dakota state and the jurisdictions, so I can select from here and browse from my computer, and then find the data, and then upload and submit. You can put some notes here. So it is working right now without having too much detail, but it means we will be doing dealing with the details. But right now, for any jurisdiction, people can go ahead and start to upload their information. This doesn't go directly to the site, obviously. It goes to our development site first, and then we verify the data with jurisdictions at that point, and then we approve that. After it is approved, it goes into our process. The data converted to our system, so we can have a search index attached to it, and we really need to process the data, which is not difficult. It is actually a completely automated process. And then we provide right naming convention for this data. And I'd like to show you a couple more things. We will be collecting the effective date of the amendments as well. So when all this data is completed, we are adjusting our database to get those details as well. That will be available soon. So at least we are looking from you to talk about it, to tell people that this exists. We already sent information to NACO, NASIO,
Mayors.
and U.S. Mayors Conference to publish an article in their publications to make all these jurisdictions be aware about it. But there is a lot to do. There are 5,000 jurisdictions we have to deal with. We are outreaching AEC and owners, and we started from current Madcad users, we make them aware that system is available right now, and what are the most needed jurisdictions for the AEC and owners, for the manufacturers. So we would like to get all this feedback. And what are the most needed data from standard development organizations, what content all these organizations will need. And we are reaching out to large member associations like AIA, NSPE, BOMA for owners, AGC for contractors. So again, we need your help to reach them better way. Task force is outreaching standard development organizations. Whoever we have already in our database, we are trying to get from them where their content are adapted. If they have lists, that will help us somehow. And also we are reaching out to different standard development organizations that we don't have their content, such as AASHTO, ACI, ASCI. So again, if you have your connections, we definitely need help to bring here more data. When we have the data, it is not difficult to make it happen. We just need the agreements with them and get the data from them and promise them to have it. So I believe this is the end of our presentation. I guess it is good to collect the questions now.
I have two basic questions, and that's the only ones I've received so far, besides the one we did at the beginning. One is under task 2. We talked about working with localities and states to get greater uniformity in terms of how they put the information up and where they put it. And I'm going to answer this one. Okay. We are reaching out to the National Association of State Chief Information Officers on this very issue, as well as to the CIOs that have, at the local level, that have affiliate working groups within the National Association of Counties and U.S. Conference of Mayors, because I think that's where we can get a good dialogue about, here's a format. This would make everybody's life easier, your elected official, your CIO, and the building department. So there is something that can be done there, and we'd love to have people join us in that kind of outreach with Task 2. The other question that I had is, can you do webinars or presentations to our members? And this is, I don't know from whom.
Maybe whoever typed that question should write who, so we can arrange the webinars with them. Definitely, we are looking for this type of webinars.
Right, we can set these up, and as Pelin mentioned earlier, we have done articles for some groups in the past, and we can certainly do more articles.
Yeah, definitely. And any other questions? I think that's it.
Do you want to show anything else in terms of your database?
Yeah, if there are no questions, we can go through what we have done so far and visit different states.
How much will it cost to access? If the question just came in.
Oh, how much? Okay, this is completely depend on what you are getting. I can just jump to store and show you things. It's a subscription base, and it is annual subscription. So you can pick and choose books. Let me just click to ICC here, for example, which is the most used model codes. So you can pick and choose from here. Our store works exactly the same as our e-library. So you can say, I want to have this one. I want to have, let's say, International Building Code 2009, and then I want to have International Code, let's say 2006, and you can search just like I have done in the e-library. and as soon as you pick the books, they are starred. And when you say add starred items to cart, it will tell you how much it will cost you for one SIMO in a year. Our SIMO model is one person at a time can access to the system. And if you want to, let's say you want to say 2009 because we need, I'm sorry, more 5 people. And as soon as you change this, the amount changes accordingly. So this is the model code part. But for the amendments and looking to the adapted codes, we are not actually charging anything to Fiatech members on that. So you can, we haven't established that link yet, but from the Fiatech, when you assign that as a member and traffic comes from the Fiatech member side, you will be able to see this site as is, as you see on the screen. You will be able to select any state and then look at the jurisdictions or look at their adapted codes, amended codes. I'm just clicking to another one, New York, for example, and I'm looking for adapted codes 2000. I don't need to have a subscription to look at this data. I can even do the search, find the results, in which books there are results, but if I don't have subscription, I cannot get into the model codes, but I can get into the amendments, which is published by the jurisdictions. So I believe even that is a huge help. But subscriptions are also very reasonable, so we are getting very good feedback from the users so far.
Okay.
Anything
that's the only other question that I had.
Okay, so I just want to show, since we don't have more questions, I can show you some other features what we have, or actually I will show you what is included so far. We completed New York. New York has a, we call this integrated codes, so adapted codes and amendments are together. So we have those codes. For example, I can click the 2010 integrated codes of New York. Or I can actually look at only the amendments of New York. And all of the jurisdictions under New York also completed, so that information is ready to research. For Maryland, again, Maryland is another example. That's why we focus on that one, because Maryland has a 3-stage adoption. State adopts first, has their own amendments, and then every local jurisdiction can do their amendments. So it's a very different case. That's why we, as an example, we complete that state. New York is a very interesting one too, because state code, there's a statewide code, but if state approves, I believe there are 78 jurisdictions, they can do amendments. So this is a different condition, so that's why we wanted to include that. And then we looked at Texas, because Texas is very interesting, because Texas has so many jurisdictions, and they can all freely do their amendments. So when there are that many jurisdictions, we are focusing top 10 cities first. So across the board, our goal is from this time on to complete that. But for these jurisdictions, we at least have their adapted I-codes lists. So at least that is available on every jurisdiction. So even that is some help. For example, New Jersey. New Jersey is interesting. They have a statewide code, and they cannot amend their codes. Even there are jurisdictions here, you may see like a property maintenance code, but they may have another adapted code there, but they cannot amend the statewide code. So each time we go and start to research different states, we see different conditions and note that, learn from that, apply to the next state accordingly. We complete all of the state level adaptations for each state they are completed. So, and it is not only ICC, you will see here ASHRAE, ASME, NFPA, whatever adapted by their review department. So we have all those completed. So right now we have, we just counted yesterday, there are 2,400 jurisdiction entry already in the system. As I said, state level is 100% completed for the adapted codes, and for the jurisdictions, other than New York, Maryland, New Jersey, we have the adapted I-codes at least for the different jurisdictions, whatever we listed there. There may be more jurisdictions, but we only list here whatever we actually entered with some information. So that's where we are for the local codes. And obviously, we really need your feedback as a Fiatech members also. What are the codes you are really needed most in your fields?
You want to put the contacts?
Yes. Let me just put our last page, and we have our names and email addresses. We would love to hear from you. More feedback is needed. Right?
And that includes those of you who are members of Fiatech would be interested in participating in one of those 4 task groups, or more than one. We are going to be doing a separate GoToMeeting work session on this project end of this month, early June, for those Fiatech members that are interested, and flush out the actual groups on the task groups.
Yes, yes. And we may add more tasks if there are different feedback. We heard from manufacturers. I believe they are really hurt the most from having codes and standards differently in every jurisdiction. Since they are producing a product and can sell in every jurisdiction, they need to know these codes. So we heard from them. They really want to help us. And we are very happy that. I believe that concludes our webinar today.
Right. We, since we have no other additional questions, we'll conclude this webinar. I want to thank you all for spending the past 50+ minutes with us. And please be reminded that we are going to be posting the recording of this up on the Fiatech website. Probably towards the end of this week it will appear. And thank you for sharing your time with us, and we hope you get involved in this project in one way or another.
Have a nice day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.